What's up, ladies and gentlemen? NoZoupForYou here, and I was going to give you a ship review today of a ship that'll be releasing soon. However, I'm going to table that for maybe tomorrow or later this week because we had some big news drop over the weekend on Sunday during King of the Seas. I need to share it with you because I know not all of you, in fact, many of you might not follow the Wargaming online streams or the dev blog or anything else. And this actually directly affects pretty much all of you. And you can draw your own conclusions from this news. I'm still on the fence about it, but friendly fire is going away. They are getting rid of friendly fire damage in the game. So I'm going to read you the dev blog first, what they say, and then I'm going to give you my opinions on it, because I always have an opinion. Don't all of us CCs have an opinion that we try to give to you all to form your own opinions? No, I'm not going to do that. You can draw your own opinions, but I'm just going to give you my thoughts on it. But first, friendly fire. In an update 0.10.5, we're turning off the damage on allied ships. The change will have a positive effect on gameplay. Now your allies will not be able to damage or destroy your ship. Okay, you know, at face value, that doesn't sound like a bad idea. Main changes. You can no longer damage, incapacitate modules of, or cause detonation or destruction to allied ships. It is also impossible to damage allied ships by ramming. That's nice too. Nothing more frustrating than getting hung up on a a friendly ship, and just seeing damage tick away one hit point at a time. And if you're already pink, you run the risk of having that being pink extended and everything else. So yeah, I don't think anyone likes that or appreciates it, especially when running into friendly teammates is so very common in this game. At the same time, all types of armament will still hit allied ships. For example, you cannot launch torpedoes at an enemy through an allied ship, and that makes sense. I mean, you are still a physical impediment to your team, so it's not like your shells or anything else are just going to pass straight through. If you're a DD, you're not going to be able to hide behind your own teammate and fire torps that'll magically pass through, unless, of course, they're deep water torps. Those aren't changing. That's always been the case for the most part, unless it's, a battleship that you're firing them behind. Those would definitely hit, but it's common sense that these torps aren't going to go through, or shells aren't either. The penalty for unsportsmanlike conduct is now given for a certain number of hits on allied ships with any type of armament except secondaries. Another good move right there, because you can't control your secondaries. And a lot of times when you get in a very close one-on-one battle, your secondaries just pop off, and sometimes ships go in front of them, and nothing's worse than getting penalized for secondary hits that you just can't control. Outside of turning off your secondaries, you don't want to do that in a CQ battle, so good move. If after a warning the player continues to violate the rules, they will receive a ban on participation in all types of battles except co-op, clan, and training. And again, I think that was standard. No, it wasn't. Before, you could still play random battles, and I think you still had to really be excessively jerkish in order to get a ban, but I would have to look into that. The player will not receive credits or XP for battles in which they received a warning for damage to allies. If player does not, you gotta add the little sick in parentheses right there, kind of a typo. I don't even know how to read this right now. It's just worded so strange. If players don't violate the rules in future battles, resources will stop being discarded. So, you play nice, you get your toys back. The damage a ship receives in response to allied damage will increase with each new hit on an allied ship. So once again, you fire one salvo at a friendly, it's going to do a certain amount. You fire your second one, it's going to double or whatever else. A ship hit by an ally does not trigger camera effects that inform about received damage. So if you run into a friendly, you're not going to get a warning, nothing's going to happen. You just run into them and you probably hear screeching and grinding, and that's it. Remove the effect for allied torpedoes. They can no longer deal damage. I know a lot of you are probably going to be happy about that. So here are my thoughts on this. I'm kind of on the fence You know, I think in many ways this is a good thing. I think it's nice that I don't have to worry about being torped by my own team. I think it's nice I don't have to worry about my secondaries damaging my own team. But on the flip side, I am worried now that friendly destroyers, or destroyers for that matter in general, are going to be a lot more cavalier how they fire their torpedoes. Meaning a complete lack of restraint. And not necessarily in high-tier ships like a Shimakaze, but, you know, there's certain ships out there, like what is it, the Yoshino, that have those 18-kilometer torps that hurt friendlies more than enemies. Now they can just fire them from that range without fear of penalty or anything else. And I think in a way that is not necessarily good for the game. I don't like the idea that people will just be able to sling torps however they want with no fear, with no worry about retribution or anything else. I don't think that this is going to cause shady tactics. I don't think we're going to run into situations where destroyers are going to decide to hide behind battleships more and launch torpedoes in such a way that they can't get hit. But the enemy will take torpedoes even if their own battleship eats torpedoes, which, again, won't hurt them anymore. I just don't see it being abused in that way, so I don't think there's going to be shady tactic abuse using this, but I do think that players are going to let torpedoes fly a lot more than they would have in the past. And in its own, that is kind of unfair as well to the enemy team, because there are certain situations where in a close quarter battle, in a destroyer or a cruiser that has torps or a battleship, where you just wouldn't fire your torpedoes because you knew there were friendlies nearby and you would wind up getting sunk because of that restraint. That's a good mechanic right there. That is good for the game. It's healthy. It forces good decisions for allied players or players on your team. Removing that, though, I can just charge into a battle where I've got two battleships fighting two enemy battleships and just fire torps at all of them. Hope some hit the enemy. And you know what? If some hit my own team, there's no problem because I'm not going to get penalized and I was able to take out the enemy team. I can see that being an issue, and I don't necessarily agree with that. I don't think that is a healthy mechanic for the game, in my own opinion. So, there is a lot of good in this, but there are also some concerns in this that, you know, I'm sure Wargaming is aware of them, and I'm sure they weigh things, and I'm sure they're going to monitor things and just be like, all right, well, this is happening way too much. We need to go back to the drawing board and fix this. I mean, at least I hope they do, because I would hate to just see torp soup after torp soup because of this. I really think this only affects mainly destroyers and some cruisers, some torpedo-heavy cruisers. I mean, if Kitakaze comes back into the game, I mean, just think, that ship can fire with mere impunity it's large amounts of torpedoes. So that's just something we need to be cognizant of. However, I do like that I don't have to worry about a teammate purposely destroying me just because for some reason they see I've got a CC tag, or they don't like me, or I bumped into them, or they're just having a bad day and they want to be jerks to their team. I mean, when that happens, it sucks because you lose your ship and they have no desire to continue playing, so you've essentially got two ships out of the battle if things don't work out right. So that is no longer an issue, and that's nice. I like that. Still, though, it's going to take time to see whether whether the trade-offs are worth the gains. And I think the biggest and really the only issue I can see with this, once again, is that, you know, those heavy torpedo destroyers are going to be able to affect close quarter battles with their own teammates against the enemy a lot more than they would have in the past, because when in the past they didn't release their torpedoes because they knew they were going to hit their allies, a lot of times, you know, that saved the enemy. Now they're not going to have that same restraint, and they're just going to launch the torpedoes, And you know what? Some are probably going to hit their friendly ships, and nothing's going to happen to them. And then the others are going to hit the enemy, and they're going to get those that damage that they want. So the thing that will be interesting is how easy it is for that damage to accrue on yourself for doing something like that, and how easy it is to get a ban. And I would imagine when you get banned, you have to play a certain amount of co-op rounds. So as long as they keep that in play, that might keep things in check. That might keep that cavalier attitude in check. But I mean, how much damage are we talking here? I mean, if you get 3 torp hits on a teammate, is that going to be what bans you, or are you going to be able to get 3 torpedo hits on a teammate and that just flies under the radar, no big issue? You can do that next game as well, and as long as you aren't accruing a certain amount of damage per round, it doesn't matter. These are the questions that I would like to see answers to, just so we know that what I had mentioned earlier isn't going to be a huge issue, because right now that's the only issue I see. So overall, I kind of like this, because it was so annoying getting friendly torped and just having your game wrecked because of it, and in many ways it was unfair. Now, I do have one recommendation for Wargaming, and I would say that for clan battles and competitive battles, you probably should keep friendly fire on, just because I know it's not as big of an issue in those instances, but it's kind of like hard mode. You got to have a hard mode, and you know, ranked and all those things. I would say having friendly fire on is a hard mode, or should be, but I don't know if they can do that. Once they flip the switch, I don't know if they can keep it on for some game modes and off for others. But that, again, is just a suggestion I'm throwing out right there. I'm not necessarily 100% behind it. I want to know your thoughts on that, though. And what you think about friendly fire in general. Are you happy that it's gone away or going away and 0.10.5 when it's tested, or actually turned off in that update? Are you happy with this? Are you upset? Do you think it's a good idea? Tell me what you think. And, you know, I'm interested to know. Also, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Be sure to turn on your notifications, and I will catch you all later. Thank you all for watching. Zoop